My fiancée but dialed me and I heard her call our engagement a business arrangement. I waited for her to finish and said, "So is the wedding off?" Then I sent the recording to her father. He was left frantically trying to save the deal she just exposed. I 32 male am a software architect by trade, though for the last year I've been pouring everything into my own startup. It's in that delicate phase between promising idea and financially stable. I'm a planner. I build systems. I like when things are logical, when the inputs match the outputs. It's why Michelle, 29, and I made sense. We were a solid system. Our life plans meshing perfectly. I thought it was love built on a logical foundation. I was wrong. It wasn't a system I was a part of. I was just a component in someone else's. This happened on a Tuesday. Michelle and I were supposed to have a final call with a wedding planner about the venue contract. A lot of details, clauses, and numbers. To make sure I didn't miss anything, I opened the call recording app one used for client meetings and developer interviews. I hit record right before dialing her. She didn't pick up. A few minutes later my phone buzzed. Her picture. I swiped to answer. "Hey you." Just muffled noise. The rustle of a coat, the faint clink of a cup, but dial. My first instinct was to hang up, but then I heard her voice sharp and clear over the cafe buzz. "No, Emily. He has no idea. He thinks it's this grand romance." My blood didn't go cold. It felt like it evaporated. My skin went hot and tight. For a second the room tilted. A wave of dizziness washing over me. I gripped the edge of my desk. Breathe. I listened. Emily, her best friend, let out a cynical laugh. "Shelley, you're a savage. Does he really not get that your dad set the whole thing up?" Michelle sighed, the sound dripping with condescension. "Of course not. He's sweet simple in a way. Daddy says he's a good investment. His new company has significant growth potential. My job is to be the supportive fiancé, then the charming wife. It's basically a business arrangement, a merger of his potential with our family's name. In return, Daddy helps him get the right introductions, greases a few wheels, he gets access, we get a reliable return." Emily giggled. "So you're basically venture capital with a great dress." "Essentially," Michelle said, her voice smug, "and he's so easy to manage. His background is so modest. He's just grateful to be here. He doesn't ask too many questions." The initial shock subsided, replaced by an unnatural crystal and calm. It was the focus I get when a critical server is crashing. Emotion is useless. Analysis is everything. I was receiving a massive unexpected data dump that explained every anomaly in our relationship for the past 2 years. My entire life with her was a fraudulent transaction. I wasn't her partner. I was her father's asset. They kept talking for another 5 minutes, something about photographers and bridesmaid dresses. I let it play out. I needed the full unedited data file, then the call disconnected. The silence in my apartment was absolute. My hand was steady now. I stopped the recording and saved the file. I labeled it due diligence final.mp3. I took one deep breath, then called her number. She answered, her voice like sunshine. "Hey babe. Sorry. My phone has been so weird today. I was just about to call you about the planner." I didn't raise my voice, I kept it flat. "So is the wedding off?" A beat of pure unadulterated silence. I could hear the faint cafe sounds on her end. A world that was still normal for her. "What are you talking about, Andrew?" She stammered. "Michelle," I said, my voice devoid of any warmth. "I heard your conversation with Emily. The whole thing, the business arrangement, my modest background, me being a good investment," a sharp intake of breath. "You recorded me. That's illegal. You but dialed me while I was preparing for our business call." I corrected her. "Consider it an accidental disclosure. Now I'll ask again, since this was just a merger and the asset is now aware of the terms, I'm liquidating my position. The wedding is off. Or did you want to discuss severance?" "You're twisting my words. It's not like that. You're overreacting." The panic was turning into indignation. "Am I?" I said, "Well, let's see what your primary business partner thinks." I hung up. My fingers moved with precision. I opened my email, attached the audio file, sent it to Kenneth Vance, subject regarding our arrangement. Body: Kenneth, I believe you're a party to this conversation, for your records. Andrew. It took him less than 5 minutes to start calling. I ignored the first 3 calls. On the 4th I picked up. Andrew. Son, let's not be hasty. He began, his voice a strained, oily performance. There's been a terrible misunderstanding. Michelle is young. She talks nonsense. She was quoting you, Kenneth. I cut in. Daddy says he's a good investment. That was you, right? He cleared his throat. Now hold on. We can fix this. You're a pragmatic man. You understand how the world works. All relationships are transactional to some degree. Not mine. I said I'm terminating our agreement effective immediately. Don't be a fool, boy. The mask didn't just slip. He ripped it off. You have no idea what I can do for you, for your company. Don't throw that away over some hurt feelings. He wasn't trying to save his daughter's heart. He was trying to stop a deal from collapsing. The deal, I said, the words tasting like ash, is dead. I hung up and blocked both of them. I'm looking at the engagement ring, a simple sapphire. It matched her eyes, or the eyes she'd let me see anyway. I have a feeling this is just the beginning. People like that don't write off a bad investment. They try to recoup their losses or burn the asset down. Update 1. It's been a long 3 months. The initial shock wave has settled into a grinding war of attrition. As predicted, they didn't go away. Their entitlement is a force of nature. Kenneth tried the sophisticated man's approach first. 2 weeks after the call, an email arrived inviting me for a drink at his private club to clear the air and find a path forward. I knew it was a performance, but I went anyway. Data collection is never a waste of time. The place smelled of old money and complacency. He didn't apologize. He patronized. He explained as if to a child how strategic alliances are the foundation of real legacies. Think of this as a partnership, Andrew, he said, swirling a dark amber liquid. Michelle provides a social framework, a pedigree. You provide the innovation. It's a perfect synergy. Then came the hook. It wasn't a clumsy offer of cash. It was smoother. That next funding round for your company, it can be a nightmare. But I happen to sit on the board of a hospital with a member of Kestrel Ventures. A good word for me over a round of golf doesn't just get you a meeting, it puts you at the top of the pile. I can open doors that money can't. That's the value I bring to this arrangement. It was a test. He was betting my ambition outweighed my self-respect. The value you bring, I said, meeting his gaze, is predicated on me accepting the terms, and the terms are fraudulent. I'm not for sale. I thanked him for the drink and walked out, leaving him staring into his glass. Michelle's turn came a week later. She appeared at my door, not apologetic but furious. You have humiliated me, she spat as she pushed past me into my apartment. You authored your own humiliation, Michelle. I just published it. You sent that recording to my father. What is wrong with you? What's wrong with me? The calm finally cracked just a little. I wasted 2 years of my life on a lie. Michelle, you are an actress in a play. Your father directed my life with you as a performance. I was your job. Her face contorted in disbelief. Oh, get over yourself. It wasn't all a performance. We had fun. The life we would have had would have been amazing. You've thrown it all away because your fragile little ego can't handle how the real world works. The lack of self-awareness was breathtaking. She genuinely believed I was the problem. I want the ring back, Michelle. Her eyes went flinty. No. Excuse me. It was a gift. She said, her voice cold. Consider it a consultation fee. You got 2 years of access to my life, my world. You're the one who walked away. I'm keeping it. She left, and then the next phase began. Not with a bang, but with a whisper. She didn't flop the ring on Instagram. That would be too obvious. The move was colder, more calculated. A month later, I ran into a mutual acquaintance, a woman from her social circle. She was gushing about a recent charity gala. Oh, you should have seen Shelley, she said. She looked stunning. So strong. She was wearing that beautiful sapphire ring. When someone asked, she just smiled sadly and said, some things are too precious to let go of, no matter how much it hurts. It was perfect. A targeted strike delivered by a proxy. She was painting herself as the heartbroken noble victim clinging to a symbol of what could have been. And to me it was a clear message. I still have it. It's mine. What are you gonna do about it? This is when I knew walking away wasn't enough. They see me as a modest man, a simple problem that can be managed or dismissed. They believe their rules are the only ones that matter. I'm a systems architect. It's time I architected a system of consequences. Update 2. The last 2 months have been an education in subtle warfare. The Fiancées don't use cannons. They use poison. First, the legal letter from their ridiculously named law firm. It was full of bluster about illegal wiretapping and emotional distress. I forwarded it to my cousin who practices law. He laughed. It's a bark with no bite. He said over a beer, but it's an expensive bark. They're trying to see if you'll flinch. He helped me draft a dry formal response declining their offer and directing all future contact to him. It was a small victory, but it felt good. The smear campaign was more effective. It was a slow creeping rot. An introduction a contact promised me never materialized. A VC who had been enthusiastic in emails suddenly went cold. An old mentor called me sounding concerned. Andrew, I heard a rumor you had a nasty breakup, some bad blood with Kenneth Vance. Be careful, son. That man has a long memory and a far reach. It was working. The stress was immense. There were nights I'd stare at my company's burn rate and feel a cold dread. The thought, poisonous and tempting, would creep in. Maybe I should have just taken the deal. I missed the illusion of the woman I loved. I missed the future I thought we had. That despair was a clarifying fire. It burned away the last of my hesitation. They wanted me to feel isolated and powerless. They were leveraging their system against me, so I had to stop playing their game and introduce a new variable into their system. I talked to my cousin again. You can't sue them for being jerks, he said, and you can't outspend them. Guys like Kenneth only care about 2 things: their money and what their rich friends think of them. Public shame is a different kind of beast. That was the seed. I'm not a PR expert, but I am a researcher. I build complex systems. I decided to treat this like a work project. I would analyze their world to find the single point of failure. It didn't take long. Kenneth's obsession for the last year has been his legacy project. The Vance Family Center for Ethical Innovation at a prestigious university. It was his ticket to being remembered as a philanthropist, not just a shark. The final board vote on the naming rights was coming up. His ego was the single point of failure. I spent a week mapping it out. I identified the key board members: the university president, the dean of the business school. I read their articles and public statements. They were all academics who built their careers on words like integrity, transparency, and character. They were about to name their Center for Ethical Innovation after a man who tried to arrange his daughter's marriage like a corporate merger. The irony was staggering. My plan was no longer just an idea. It was a schematic. I wasn't going to the press. I was gonna file a bug report directly with the system administrators. I drafted a polite professional email. I was a concerned member of the community. I had a deep admiration for the university's principals. I was in possession of information that suggested a key donor's private ethics might not align with the university's public ones. I wasn't making demands. I was simply offering to provide this information for their internal due diligence. I attached the audio file and a brief factual summary of the events since, including Michelle's refusal to return the ring and her precious things comment relayed through a third party. This wasn't an act of passion. It was a calculated move. I was about to introduce an exception they couldn't handle into their carefully coded world. Final update. It's been 6 months since the butt dial. The final act didn't play out in days, but over the last 3 agonizingly slow months. After I sent that email to the university board members, there was silence. A week went by then too. I started to think it had been a mistake. Maybe they buried it. Maybe Kenneth's influence was just too powerful. The wait was worse than the fight. Then at the end of the 3rd week, a letter arrived. Not an email, a physical letter on university letterhead from the Office of the General Counsel. It was 1 sentence. We acknowledge receipt of your correspondence and the matter is under internal review. It was cold, bureaucratic, and the most beautiful thing I'd ever read. The real tremor hit a full month after that. A small article appeared in an alumni newsletter, then got picked up by a local business blog. University board postpones decision on new center naming. It cited a comprehensive review of philanthropic partner vetting protocols. No names, but the message was clear. The Vance Center was on ice. That's when Kenneth called. There was no rage this time. It was worse. His voice was dead, hollowed out. You, he said. It was the only word. Me, I confirmed. I hope you're happy, you little snake. You didn't just hurt me. You've ruined Michelle. She's a pariah. She built her own pedestal, Kenneth. I just pointed out it was made of lies. He hung up. 2 days later, a courier delivered a box. Inside, on a bed of velvet, was the sapphire ring. The note was typed, "The account is settled." The university officially announced last month that an anonymous donor had endowed the center, which would now be named after a celebrated late professor. Kenneth's shot at granite-carved immortality was gone. For a man like him, that public erasure is a fate worse than financial loss. Michelle has deactivated all her social media. Her performance as the tragic heroine was cancelled when the stage it was built on collapsed. The resolution isn't clean. It's not a Hollywood ending. Kenneth Vance is still a very rich man. There are corners of the business world in this city that will forever be closed to me. Places where his influence lingers. Some people who heard the rumors still look at me sideways. The guy who caused all that drama. I lost a mentor who felt I'd played dirty. But my company is fine. We found funding from a firm on the West Coast that cared more about my code than city gossip. I won. But winning a fight like this doesn't leave you feeling triumphant. It leaves you exhausted and cynical. It proved to me that for some people life is a game of power and the only mistake is losing. I have the ring sitting on my desk. I'm not sure what to do with it. It's no longer a symbol of a fake love, but a reminder of a very real, very ugly war, and a reminder that even the most well-designed systems can be brought down by a single unexpected bug.